Good evening. Welcome back to Finnerty. Glad you're here. I'm Rob Finnerty. For 62 years, Americans of every race, color, religion have asked the same question: who killed John F. Kennedy? It is a fundamental question that Americans have a right to know the answer to. If we're really a democracy, every one of us has the right to know the truth. We don't deserve to know. We have the right to know as Americans. Did Lee Harvey Oswald really act alone? Did the CIA play a role? Did LBJ, in his maniacal pursuit for power, play a role in killing his boss, an American president? We have a right to know if the mafia or Cuba or the Soviet Union played a role. We all have a right to know, because I think the real threat to our democracy, the same one that Democrats have spent years talking about, actually began in Dallas, Texas 62 years ago. And the cover-up that has taken place for every second of every single day ever since is the real threat to what we all call democracy. Nevertheless, John F. Kennedy's only living grandson doesn't seem to think so. For whatever reason, the Kennedy family never seemed to really care about what really happened to JFK, going all the way back to Bobby and Jackie. They accepted the Warren Commission report like good little Democrats. But guess what? We don't have to.
You're better than this. This is so stupid. There's so much actual news going on. Why are you covering this? At least report that something happened. I love you, Harry Anton. You're really smart. Why are you guys covering this? I love you, Aaron Burnett. You're really smart. Why are you covering this? Why are you covering this? Stop. This is why this takes hold, because you guys cover it over and over and over again.
Okay, so that's Jack Schlossberg, JFK's grandson. He's also proof that the apple can, in fact, fall very far from the tree. Proof that the Kennedy bloodline has sadly thinned quite a bit over the years. Schlossberg has been tweeting a lot over the past 24 hours as the final pages of the JFK files, 80,000 in all, have slowly been released. Jack doesn't think that Americans have a right to know what happened to his grandfather. He also doesn't seem to know that much about his grandfather. I mean that seriously. He tweeted yesterday, despite the obsession with JFK's death, Donald Trump has no interest in the life of JFK. He drafted the Civil Rights Act. You made DEI illegal. He created USAID. You eliminated it. He stared down Russia and didn't blink. You, ? He sent a man to the moon. You gave Elon Musk keys to Air Force One. You almost feel bad for him. Then you realize he's not a kid. He's 32 years old. But let's look at that, Jack, shall we? Yes, JFK drafted the Civil Rights Act, but LBJ got it passed. But JFK believed in merit. He didn't believe in giving people something based on their skin color or race or religion. That's what Donald Trump got rid of. That's DEI. Yes, JFK created USAID. And in the beginning, look, I'm sure it had the best intentions. But I don't think that JFK ever imagined USAID sending condoms to the Taliban, or paying for sex changes in Guatemala, or a trans opera in his native Ireland. Yes, JFK guided our nation through the Cuban Missile Crisis and exchanged Russian missiles in Cuba for U.S. missiles in Turkey. We're not supposed to talk about that, Jack, are we? But Donald Trump's about to end a real war, started by a Democrat that your uncle apparently hated. One of the documents released late last night, a letter from John F. Kennedy Jr., sent from Worcester, Mass. To Senator Joe Biden at the U.S. Capitol in 1994, calling him a traitor. Now, the letter could be a fake. We don't know. But this is the same Joe Biden that the entire Kennedy family endorsed in 2020 and then again in 2024.
My name is Joe Kennedy.
I'm Carrie Kennedy.
Troy Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy Townsend.
Chris Kennedy.
And I'm here to proudly endorse Joe Biden.
So there is no other choice than Joe Biden. Joe Biden is your candidate.
That sounded like an endorsement.
Of course it is.
All of whom, with the exception of two, all who are legally able are supporting Joe Biden for re-election.
Remember what I said about that gene pool? It's shallowed. Think about the Emerald Kings. Joe, who passed away in World War II, Jack, Bobby, Teddy in the 1960s. The hair, the tan, the money, the looks. Look at what you just saw. That gene pool is thinned. The final part of Jack's tweet, the grandson. JFK sent a man to the moon, and you gave Elon Musk the keys to Air Force One. JFK didn't send anyone to the moon. He talked about it. Richard Nixon actually gave that order. And on the same day that Jack tweeted that, Elon Musk saved 2 American astronauts, literally on the same day. SpaceX brought 2 astronauts who were abandoned on the space station by Joe Biden home yesterday, splashed down at 5:57 p.m. in the Gulf of America. And what Simple Jack is missing is that Donald Trump, what he's saying today, is in many ways what John F. Kennedy was saying yesterday.
What kind of a peace do I mean, and what kind of a peace do we seek? Not a Pax Americana, enforced on the world by American weapons of war. Not the peace of the grave or the security of the slave. I am talking about genuine peace, not merely peace for Americans, but peace for all men and women. Not merely peace in our time, but peace in all time.
The weapons of war must be abolished before they abolish us.
Okay, now let's listen to Donald Trump over the last 10 days.
It's just bad that everybody has to spend all this money on something that if it's used, it's probably the end of the world.
I'm going to meet with China and I'm going to meet with Russia, and we're going to see if we can de-escalate, if we can bring it down military, especially as it pertains to nuclear.
They both tried to do the same thing. And for the last 62 years, the establishment in Washington, including the Kennedy family, has tried to cover up what really happened in Dallas, which proves that the American people have not been given the entire story. If there's nothing to hide, why have these documents been hidden for the last 62 years? Why? It's a simple question. That question has never been answered. And the establishment is still, even now, even today, covering the story with this nothing to see here narrative. Take a look at CBS News.
But so far, the trove of mostly unredacted files show there is nothing that changes he was the sole assassin.
The documents, they don't show a conspiracy.
You think about Walter Cronkite, who was the original CBS anchor who broadcast the assassination, what he would think about that right there. They don't show a conspiracy, according to CBS News. Well, one document that was redacted yesterday, I think very clearly shows a conspiracy. The day after the assassination, CIA agent Gary Underhill, quote, left Washington in a hurry late in the evening. He showed up at the home of friends in New Jersey. He was very agitated. A small clique within the CIA was responsible for the assassination, he confided. And he was afraid for his life. He was afraid he would probably have to leave the country. Less than 6 months later, Underhill was found shot to death in his Washington apartment. The coroner quickly ruled that a suicide. I'm no expert, but to me, that would be a conspiracy right there. That would suggest that our own CIA played a role in killing our 35th president.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.